again. It's a holiday, but we'll use it. So our discussion so far is revising what we did in the Unit 6, and then hopefully to build on that to make room for our discussions in Unit 7, all of which are required and needed for our interim assessment and also for the final exam. So we have touched on some basic things. One or two of you touched on the distinction between deduction and induction. It was beautifully done. And then we were just told what an argument is, which is what is currently on our screen. We can now move on to the next. And I saw a hand up before I stepped out. Let me see whose hand it was. We take his or her question or feedback. Okay, so it is Kekeli. Kekeli, is there a question, please, or you are reacting to the question I asked earlier so that I can give you the opportunity? Please go ahead. Okay, so we will now look at, Kekeli, is there a question, please? Yeah, your hand is still up. Kindly unmute so that we don't brush you. Okay.
No, madam, sorry.
Okay, it's fine. So now we will look at the types. What then are the types of valid patterns, valid deductions? You see that deductions could be validly done or invalidly done. So where the premises necessarily prove the conclusion, we say it's a valid deduction, but there could be invalid deductions as well. That is where we commit the fallacy, the formal fallacies of what? Instead of affirming the antecedent, we rather affirm the consequent. So the fallacy of affirming the consequent, the fallacy of denying the antecedent, and then the false hypothetical syllogism, all in your introduction here. Okay, we saw them. It's on your screen now. These ones are formal fallacies. They are deductive fallacies. In other words, wrong deduction, invalid. So as soon as the argument is invalid, then it will not even be possible for it to be sound at all. Okay, that's also important for you to know. Now we quickly move on to the valid patterns. So what are the valid patterns? Jessica, give me one of them. Jessica, okay, Nana Pon's hand is here. Nana Pon Checheku, please give me one of the valid forms you know that we have studied in deduction. I see Clement's hand as well, and Jessica, everybody's hand is up.
Okay, madam.
Yes.
We have modus ponens.
Yes.
That's affirming the antecedent.
Very good.
We have modus ponens. That's negating or denying consequence.
Yes.
And we have hypothetical in syllogism.
Very good. Well done. Can we now have examples of each one of them? Your own examples. So maybe Clement Bafo can do a valid deduction that is valid by, say, modus ponens. Peter or Paul, modus ponens. Let's start with that first. Clement, do you want to help us? Clement, are you able to help us? Yeah. Oh, if Clement is busy, let me take my able class rep, Bright here. Thank you, Bright. Go ahead. An example of a modus ponens valid argument.
Okay. All lecture. Nancy is a lecturer.
Yes. You matter. I didn't hear what you said at the back there, but I heard Nancy in it, so it's valid. All lecturers have. Oh. Okay. All lecturers have done so and so and so. Nancy is a lecturer, therefore she has done so and so and so. That's valid. Modus ponens. It would be wrong to go and say that all lecturers are smart. They say Nancy is smart, therefore you want to conclude necessarily that she's a lecturer. We learned that that would be a fallacy. Which fallacy would it be, please? If I say all lecturers are smart, Nancy is smart, therefore I want to conclude therefore that she is what? A lecturer. That's a fallacy. I hope you can see it. Which fallacy is it? Charlotte? Okay, someone already answered. It's the fallacy of affirming the consequent. I hope you can all see that. Then if I said all lecturers are smart, I'm building on it now, on our revision, tollens now, okay? All lecturers are smart. If I wanted to develop a valid modus tollens argument from all lecturers are smart, what should I say next? Let's use Nancy again. All lecturers are smart. Then we want to do a valid argument by modus tollens. I want to take, let's hear it from someone so that those who are still learning it. Let's take
Nancy
Gideon
is smart.
Ampo. Okay, it's fine. Who is speaking now? Yeah.
Nancy is smart.
Is it Charlotte?
Nancy,
Charlotte, are you the one speaking? Oh,
madam, please write your boy.
Brad, go ahead. I want a modus tollens this time. Tollens argument. The first premise says all lecturers are smart. Let's do a modus tollens. Timothy one now. Valid
Nancy,
argument. Go ahead.
Nancy is not. Nancy is not. This is not lecture.
Nancy is not smart. So she is not a lecturer. You see, if you said that, to be valid, because you are saying that all lecturers are smart, then if Nancy is not even smart at all, she's not even the big set at all, then she will not be a lecturer. She will not be in the smaller set, which is inside the big set. Okay, so this is modus tollens and it will be valid. Now, suppose I said all lecturers are smart. Nancy is not a lecturer, so she is not smart. Which fallacy will I be committing? Which deductive fallacy would that be? Formal fallacy will it be? Gideon. I want to take Gideon now. Let's say Gideon. Gideon. Gideon Ampo, please unmute first. Oh, can Gideon hear me? Okay, let's take Clifford. Clifford, who's answer? What fallacy would it be? Aha. If I said all lecturers are smart, Nancy is not a lecturer, so she's not smart. Which fallacy would it be, please?
Madam, I'm denying the antecedent. Madam. Hello.
Oh,
Yes, hello, we are here.
Madam.
Yes, madam has problem with the network.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
My network.
Please, what was the
Madam.
question again? Can someone tell me?
So it's denying the antecedent.
According to her statement, she was expecting somebody to answer. So, and I think the network went off. I don't know whose side it was.
I suspect that because of the holiday, the network folks are using the opportunity to do stuff because it's unlike me. I even have a better network at home than sometimes in the office. So we are all struggling, but we'll work with it. Let's just make the best with what we have. Okay, so it is denying the antecedent. That's correct. Those who didn't get the pattern earlier, look at it. This one says, all lecturers are smart. That's the starting point. All lecturers are smart. Then I said, Nancy is not a lecturer. So I conclude, therefore, that she's not smart. We are saying that when you reason this way, it will not be valid. The fallacy you will commit is the fallacy of denying the antecedent. Why? Because when I said all lecturers are smart, the lecture bit is what? The antecedent. What I said next was, Nancy is not a lecturer. I deny the antecedent. And you don't do that. When you do that, you will not generate a valid pattern. Very good. Okay. So what then is the conclusion for this argument? I'm going to introduce you again. I will remind you of what? Enthymemes. Enthymemes. Spelled what? How do you spell Enthymemes? Enthyme. Enthymeme. You should have said endymeme, but that's not how it's pronounced. It's pronounced enthymeme. And we want to look at examples of that. What is an enthymeme? You give us a premise and a conclusion, for example, and you ask us to introduce the hidden premise. Because it is a valid pattern, if I know the beginning and I know the end, I can know what happened in between, sort of. Okay, so I am able to give you the hidden premise if you gave me just one of the premises and a conclusion. So let's practice with those for a while. One, write down this main premise, and then you can tell me what the hidden premise is if I give you the conclusion. Suppose I said, if you studied, then you will pass. Therefore, you did not study. I say it again. If you study, then you will pass. Okay? Then I conclude, therefore, you did not study. What is the hidden premise? I want a chorus answer.
You did not study.
But my conclusion said, therefore, my conclusion
You
said,
did
therefore,
not
you did
pass.
not study.
Yes. Yes,
Okay, so the hidden premise
Did
is
not
what?
pass.
You did not pass.
Not
Very good.
Yes.
I hope you see why this is the hidden premise.
Yes.
By what pattern did you arrive at this conclusion? Which of the valid patterns led you to that? Is it Timothy or Paul?
Timothy.
This is Timothy. Can you see? Can everybody see that? This is Modus tollens. Timothy. You see. So let's do it again. For those who didn't see what we did, we just worked some magic. I gave you a premise and a conclusion. Then I asked you to find a hidden premise, the disguised one, the suppressed premise. That kind of argument, valid argument, where I give you a premise and a conclusion, for example, and ask you to introduce the hidden one, is what logicians call the enthymeme. Okay, and I'm saying that an instance is this. I gave you one premise. All men like money. Let's use that. All men like money. Then I conclude, for example, therefore, my lecturer likes money. What is the hidden premise? I want a chorus answer.
The lecturer is a man.
the lecturer is
That's
a
a man.
Very good.
That's
My
the
lecturer
hidden
is a man. It's a man. Very good. Our networks are different, so some people have now heard this and they are coming, and it's good. My lecturer is a man. Now, which valid pattern was this? Is this Paul or Timothy? Modus what?
Paul.
Modus ponens.
Tollens.
Because of the distance, sometimes you don't hear whether the person is saying ponens or tollens or okay. So I ask Paul or Timothy, then I can hear. This is Paul. So
Paul.
this is Paul. Very good. Okay. I think you've done some good work. Oh. This is typically unlike city. Apologies, but it's the truth. Normally, if it's city campus, people are a bit reserved for such stuff. So we've done well. I think it's good. Now let's practice more. This time I'll give you one hand of the antecedent being negative, the other hand being positive, to help us increase the level of difficulty when we are working. Okay. So let's write this down. If you study, then you will not fail. I'm introducing a not. I just want to use that to check your understanding. If you study, then you will not fail. Okay, now that's the given premise. Develop a modus ponens, Paul, a modus ponens valid argument from this. If you study, then you will not fail. Let's use bright. Okay, if you study, then you will not fail. Who has finished? I want us to use bright now. Who has finished? I see only 3 hands. Okay, let's say, oh no, 4. Anybody wants to answer? Okay, chorus answer, because I don't know who to call now. The hands are many. I want a chorus answer.
Christ did not study, so he will not fail.
Hey, ready?
Right?
Steady. So
Okay.
Right study.
But he will not fail.
So he will
Uh-huh.
not fail.
Very
Right
good.
steady.
Right steady, so you will not.
Okay, so I muted all. Now let me give the response. I had quite a number of you got it correct. 1 or 2 wasn't correct. So let me come in. The starting point is if you study, then you will not fail. So usua dia wonwe. If you call kasi obey. If you study, then you will not fail. Antecedent, X studies. Consequent, S will not fail. This is what was given to you. You didn't put the not there. Okay. So we want to do modus ponens, Paul. Then we say what? If you study, then you will not fail. Bright studied. You're only bringing the antecedent as it was given. X studied. Therefore, Bright will not fail. This not was given. So we just bring the antecedent first and conclude with the consequent, just as it was given to us. We'll create a very good modus ponens valid argument. Now let's do modus tollens with the same thing. Remember what the rule for modus tollens says. Negate the consequent first and conclude by negating the antecedent. Negation simply means, on your screen now, if the original is positive, then you turn the other one. If you negate it, it will become what? Negative. Where is it? Yeah, that's it on your screen. So if what is given originally contains a not, its negation will be positive. And if what is given doesn't contain a not, it's not negated, then its negation, whatever. Okay, so the opposite of what is given is what negation is. All right, so starting point again, we are going to do modus tollens. We are using bright. What is the starting point? If you study, then you will not fail. I want
Bright
a
failed,
quick answer.
therefore Bright did not study. Bright
Very
failed,
good.
therefore Bright did
Right
not
to
therefore.
Hey, you will have a trainer.
Bright
What is my class rep? I'm kind of essence.
it will be bright failed.
Bright did not fail,
Therefore, he
therefore
did
he will
not
fail.
study.
God forbid. Very good.
Madam, please, I
Well
cannot
done.
see your screen. Madam,
How, sir? Please, who can anyone see my screen?
No, please, I
No,
can see
please.
your
yes,
screen
please.
also.
Please, I
No,
can
I
see
please.
can
it.
see your
Oh,
screen.
sir.
I can
Yes,
see.
Yes,
please.
we can
Well,
see.
some
I
can
can
see,
see.
some cannot. Let me check. Don't worry. It's okay.
madam, we
Don't
can
worry.
see.
I'll recheck.
Madam, please, you can't see.
Madam, please, we can't. Yes,
Madam,
we
you
can
can't
see
see.
now.
I just reshared it. Some could
Yes,
see,
we
some
can see
couldn't.
now.
No problem. No problem.
We
Don't
can
get
see now.
yourselves
Thank you,
worked
madam.
up. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. It was there
Madam,
all the
please, now it's
while.
better.
Yes, yes. It's always there. It's been there. It's just that when it sits for a while, sometimes it goes up. But we'll keep working it around like that. Everything is on holiday, including our gadgets. So understand them. All right. So you just saw how we did it. For the modus tollens, we will bring the consequent first negated. Then we bring the antecedent last as our conclusion, also negated. So if you study, then you will not fail. Our consequent is you will not fail. So if we are bringing it next, we'll say you failed. Therefore, then we bring the antecedent, you did not study. We use the raw material giving us to determine negation or not negation. And that is what you beautifully did. Correct. So if you study, then you will not fail. X failed. Therefore, X did not study. Valid. Now we move on. I want to give you premises that have both antecedent and consequent. Both of them were negated. So we are increasing the level of what difficulty again, one step higher. The rules are the same. We want to do ponens now. MP, Paul. The starting point, no man is perfect. See what I've done? I'm using a universal negation now. So on your screen, how do you open out a universal negation? Look at it and refresh your memory. It's on your screen now. No man is perfect. If I said no man is perfect, we said it means if X is a man, then X is not perfect. When you open it out, the antecedent will be positive, but the consequent will carry the negative, like what we just did with if you study, then you will not fail. Okay. Then now that you have your raw materials, immediately you can develop whether modus ponens or tollens valid pattern. Is it okay? Now you are even able to tell if the person who did the argument is arguing validly or invalidly from the raw material. So assess or evaluate the following argument. I'm going to give you an argument, then you assess it. If I say assess, tell me whether it's valid or not valid. If it's valid, is it sound? and stuff like that. If it's not valid, what is wrong with it? That's what it means to do an assessment or evaluation of an argument. So for instance, if someone says, no woman likes poor men, no woman likes poor men. My mother likes poor men. So my mother is not a woman. I say it again. No woman likes poor men. My mother likes poor men. So she's not a woman. Assess this argument. If you are not sure yet, put your hand down because I'm trying to check. When I say assess it, is it valid or not valid? If valid, is it even sound? If not valid, what is the problem with it? You see, show that you know the assessment tools for evaluation. That's what I've asked for. I see Gideon is trying to answer. So Gideon, go ahead. Assess it. I take it again for those who are still contemplating. No woman likes poor men. My mother likes poor men, so she's not a woman. Yeah, that's what I said. Gideon. Oh, I can't hear Gideon. I can't hear Gideon. So let's take someone else. Gad Lamtise. Go ahead. Gad, go ahead, please. Yes.
Madam, I think it's invalid.
Okay, why?
Madam, because it is affirming the consequence.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Gad. We'll discuss it.
Madam.
So I'm coming, Bright.
Madam
Hold on.
Bright,
Hold on, Bright. I'll call you later. Please hold on. I think you understand. So some of them you understand. So let's take at this. Oh dear. Somebody's background is very noisy. Pow. Help us, so that your friends will benefit. Bright, hold on for a minute. Let me take John Boyd, who hasn't spoken today, I think. John, go ahead.
Sir, Madam, please, it's valid.
Yes, please. How do you explain?
Madam, please.
If you say it's valid, which valid pattern is it?
It's valid because.
Which valid pattern? Which valid pattern is it?
Is the oh shit.
It's Modus what?
Tollens.
Yes, madam.
Madam, Modus.
Yes.
Hey,
It's stolen.
It's valid by what? Yeah, the sister couldn't hold it. She said it's stolen. Yes, it's valid. It's Modus tollens. Yes.
Okay.
So let's do it together. That is the essence of the meet. That's why I said I don't want us to miss today. It's practice, more practice, practice, practice. Attend tutorials. You can join all the other sessions if you want to, lecture or tutorial, just for more practice, okay? Listen, we started by saying, if you are a woman, then you do not like rich men. That's what we said virtually when we said all women, no, what did I say? Excuse me. I said no woman likes poor men. Let me say it simply that way. No woman likes poor men. That is saying if you are a woman, then you will not like poor men. That's the statement because it's a universal negation. Or baby, I know how paying here or no woman likes a poor man. That's really what I said. Okay. Now, if I say no woman likes a poor man, look on your screen now. It's just like saying no man is perfect. And I revised with you briefly before I ask you the question. If I say no man is perfect, I'm saying if X is a man, then X is not perfect. The negation goes into the consequent. So no woman likes poor men. It's saying if X is a woman, X will not like poor men. That's the statement. If you open it out as a conditional, why do you need to open it out? So you know your antecedent and your consequent. Now with that, if I wanted to do modus ponens, the next premise should say X is a woman. So my mother is a woman. Therefore, she does not like poor women, poor men. Not a follow. So I would have just taken the antecedent and concluded with the consequence. But if I want to do tollens, then right after the first premise, if X is a woman, then X does not like poor men. That's the given statement. Right after that, I should say my mother likes poor men. Do you see how I'm taking my time to do so that you can see it if you are writing? I bring the consequent first, negated. The original said does not like poor men. A negation of that will be she likes poor men. Therefore, conclusion also negated, said then she's not a woman. That is also valid. I just negated that. That's what I said in my illustration, my question. Therefore, this is valid. What did I do? I used the pattern of what? Modus tollens, Timothy. What does it do? It brings the consequent first negated and concludes with the antecedent also what? Negated. So this is valid by modus tollens, but it is not sound. Why? Because it is not necessarily true out there by observation that what? Women like, no woman likes poor men. Some like poor men so that they can sit on them and regulate them. Okay? They are rich, but they want someone who doesn't have anything. So that when you say sit down, you sit. Get up, get up. Today I'm not going anywhere, you are there. So you can't establish potentially, this is a universal statement, the truth or falsity directly of this kind of statement. You can't. That's why it is not even what? Sound, but it is valid. Validity just means the conclusion follows if the premises were true. The conclusion will also be true. This is valid modus tollens, but it is not sound. Well done. Okay, we'll practice a bit more. One more. This time, let's use a universal negation, but let's do a valid modus ponens argument. Po or po. I give you the statement. No president wants. No, okay. No president wants what? IMF. No president wants IMF. We will remember this one easily. Have you written that down? That's our given statement. In your mind's eye, immediately open it out so you have antecedent and consequent. That's what you do immediately. If it's a universal negation, your mind's eye quickly, you say, okay, if I say no president likes this, it means if president, then not that. See, the negation goes into the consequent. Now, I want you to give me the hidden premise. So I'm going to give you an enthymeme now. Give me the hidden premise for the conclusion I'm going to draw from this given premise, okay? No president likes IMF. Therefore, Nana, our fine first gentleman of the land, Nanado, is not our president. Full stop. What is the hidden premise?
Madam,
no
Nanado
president.
like
Hey, be careful.
Madam, this is a question.
Someone wants the question again. Hold on, please. Let's be patient with others. Is someone asking for a repetition of the question?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the starting point is this. No president. No president likes IMF. So president be any hope IMF. President go banish my IMF. Something like that. Okay. Just you see, what I'm trying to do is focus on the variables. Forget about the actuality or otherwise of it. You just want the variable. That's why before long we'll do no P is Q, no I, so that you don't get emotional. Unnecessary. Okay, so no president likes IMF. That's the starting point. Then I concluded, therefore, Nanado is not our president. Full stop. What would be the hidden premise that will make this argument valid?
Nanado likes
Nanado
IMF.
does not
Nanado
like
like
IMF.
IMF.
Likes IMF.
Nanado likes
Oh,
IMF.
it's not a president.
I hear you. Well done. Now that is
does not
valid.
like IMF.
Hey, Radimewu.
Likes. Nanado likes.
Manemu,
Likes.
Nanado likes.
Nanado likes IMF.
Okay, it's okay. Let's discuss. So please mute. I'm muting everyone now so that I help those who may not be getting it. Okay. So the starting point, I said know the patterns. That is the first thing. If it is ponens, if A, then B. A has happened, therefore B will follow. Finito. Whether A came negative or not, whether A was negated or not is not your concern. Bring it as it was. That's modus ponens, the poor one. Okay. So if A, then B. The A comes next. That's the antecedent. Then you can conclude therefore B. That is the pattern. It's a rule. Don't try to negotiate it. Now, if it is modus tollens, it has a bit more cumbersome rule. I want you to get that before I add hypo and disjunctive. Then we are done for this one. Then I do some few unit 7 to help you. And we top up hopefully on Thursday. Okay. Tollens is not as straightforward as this one, which is the modus ponens. What is different about modus tollens? It's simple. After the main premise, bring the second. When I say second statement, I use it advisedly because sometimes the second statement may not be the consequent. If I say you pass, if you study, look at where the antecedent has gone to. The if clause has rather gone to the second part. So you just have to ask yourself which one is the antecedent and which one is the consequent. That's what you should ask yourself, given the statement. And we said the if clause is the antecedent, then the then clause is the consequent. So when you're doing tollens, right after your main premise, bring the consequent next. That's why it is called denying the consequent. Work with the consequent next, but do what? Negate it, deny it, turn it upside down. Then you can now conclude with what? The antecedent. Also what? Negated. It is just a rule. If you are very rule inclined, you will see it. Don't say, oh, this key is good. I want to use that one to open my door. Bring me my car key. It's very beautiful. I want to use that to open the door. It won't open. It is for car. It's modus ponens. And this one is for the door. And the other one is for the main gate. The other one is for the vault. They are all keys, but they open different doors. You see that? So one pattern that we've learned is for modus ponens. The other one is for modus tollens. And I said the tollens pattern, you do the consequent next after the main premise. Then you conclude with the antecedent. But in both cases, negate. Negate means turn what was given to you upside down. So this is what I said in this final example, the most recent one that we did. We said, no president likes IMF. That is a universal negation. If you've forgotten, look on the screen I'm projecting. I think it's still there. So you can know your antecedent and your consequent. If you don't know antecedent and consequent, you will struggle. So we took a lot of time to do that one. Now that you know how to find your antecedent and your consequent, even with a universal negation, as soon as you open out the given statement, and I said do modus tollens, that's Timothy, the second one. Bring your consequent next, negated, and conclude with your antecedent, negated. Then we increase the level of difficulty, and we are trying to work with what? Enthymemes, where we are so champions, such that if you give us just the premise and the conclusion, we can work the math and tell you what the hidden premise is, which makes the argument valid. That is where we got to. What did we say? We said, no president likes IMF. Then I concluded, therefore, Nanado is not our president. And I'm asking you, what will you introduce as the hidden premise that I didn't mention, which will make this argument valid? What will I do? You see that I didn't tell you the hidden one. So like 2 plus ... is equal to 5. If you have that in math, 2 plus something will give you 5. What is that something? How do you do it? Okay, this is what we are doing. So premise, the main premise plus a hidden premise will lead you to the conclusion I drew. The conclusion was Nana is not our president. What was the starting point? No president likes IMF. So you ask yourself, what did I do to take me to what? The conclusion, Nana is not our president. This Nana is not our president. It's a negation of the antecedent in the conclusion there. Then it tells you that if I want this to be valid, there is only one of the patterns studied so far, which will help me. Which of the patterns is negating things? It's the modus tollens. Okay, hold on, maybe he didn't do it well. So I check. No president likes IMF. Something happened. Therefore, Nana is not our president. Oh, then I negated the consequent. But remember, the consequent here would already be negative, which is what? If I say no president likes IMF, I'm saying really that if Nana is our president, then he will not, look on your screen, then he will not like IMF. That is what was given. So if I want to negate the consequent, he will not like IMF will become he likes IMF. Therefore, you can now validly conclude he's not our president. So then I would have negated it. That's how your friends got the hidden premise. He does not, he likes IMF, therefore he's not our president. It's just the rules. So this is valid by Modus tollens, and it was very difficult. It is more difficult than if I asked you to create an argument that is valid by Modus tollens, for example. That is straightforward. This one, you are doing about 3 things. You are interpreting the negation, which is what? The universal negation, opening it out to clearly place the consequent at its place. Okay, that's the first step. Second, you are applying the rule of negation to the pattern of validity called modus tollens, where you bring consequent first negated, then now remember the original is already negative, then you bring it also negative, adding. Before you come and conclude antecedent also negative. So such a question will be higher. The demand on this one is higher than the one that sometimes you people feel is tough. Create and construct an argument that is valid but not sound. It is difficult. Validity. Modus ponens be valid. If A, then B. A has happened, therefore B. If I said all A's are B's, this thing is an A, so it has to be a B. This is valid. It's not sound. A's are not B's. If you did your exam and then I give someone your A that you should get, I say, oh, it's the same as B, so I've given you B. Will you will you like it? So this is a simple, like this, an example of a valid argument, which is not sound. You don't have to do anything because you won't have time to be jumping all over the place. We are trying to see if you know the concept. So you have to be smart about it. Sometimes I ask people to construct an argument. The first premise alone takes about 5 minutes for them to finish typing. Maybe you, Brian. If the president of the Russia of the Zelensky didn't do Masa, modus ponens. If A happens, B will follow. A has happened, therefore B must follow. Finished. It's valid. It's modus ponens. Some write triangle, then square. Triangle, therefore square. It is valid. You do this in 5 seconds. Even if you are not the best typist. And move on to the next question and move on. Before you are done, very relaxed, okay? Now, so a last universal negation, I think, is in place. Then we'll go to hypothetical syllogism. Unless there's a question. Let me see if anyone has a question. Okay, all the hands are down. Please, do you have any questions with, first of all, modus ponens, the valid one, then affirming the consequent, which is not valid, trying to do modus ponens but doesn't do it well. Whether we use universal negations or we use universal affirmative statement won't matter. You are still able to open them out, whether we use conditional statements or not. Then we just did modus tollens, the valid one, and then where you deny the antecedent rather, instead of denying the consequent, we did that. Whether we used universal negations or affirmations, you are good. Maya, what's your question, please? Go ahead. Maya, please go ahead with your question. Yes, my lady.
So it means that the modus ponens and the modus tollens have the same starting point, but
exactly.
the difference is that Yes. With the modus ponens, you affirm the antecedent, and
Yes,
with
look
the
on your screen
tollens,
if
you
I ask you
negate
talk.
the consequence.
No, sister. That's it. You check the screen now, put it there. That's why they are all modus. They all have one universal statement. The next one is a particular statement. The reference class is particular. Reference class just means subject. That's all. Attribute class means predicate. That's all. So here, until if you can see my screen, all mangoes are fruits. It's the starting point for modus ponens. Look at the tollens too. It's the same thing. All mangoes are fruits. The difference is here in the middle premise. And I said that is what names the argument. So here, what did I do after I was given the all mangoes are fruits? Both of us were given, if you like, condo or whatever. Corn. We were all given corn. One finished and the corn produced banku and okra stew. Another one will finish and the corn may produce porridge and fruit. We all started with corn, but the process it went through. So for modus ponens, right after the universal, we go to the particular statement and we go and affirm the antecedent, mango. I hope you understand and conclude with consequence. For modus tollens, right after the raw material, the starting point, we go and pick the consequent first, but we do what? Negate it. And we conclude with a negation of antecedent also, and it's also valid. So what Madam just said helps us to launch hypothetical syllogism now. What is that pattern? It's on our screen. Look at it. Very easy. If you know the modus, friends, then hypo and disjunctive are just top-ups. We'll do them in 5 minutes. Look at hypothetical syllogism. First of all, for hypothetical syllogism, all the three statements, premises, and conclusion alike, look on the screen, please, are universals. They are all so and so have done so and so, all so and so have done, therefore all so and so have done so and so. That's hypothetical syllogism. Hypo, when we say we have hyped the event, it means we have blown it out of proportion. Hypo, you hype it. So the reference class is general for all the three of them, both premises and conclusion. Look at modus ponens. It wasn't like that. For modus ponens, it was only the first premise. That is what? Universal or conditional. Remember, universals are already conditionals, okay? So it's only one of them that has that. But for hypothetical syllogism, all mangoes are fruits and all fruits are edible. So it follows that all mangoes are edible. There are three sets. There is no particular statement there. All so and so are done to so and so. All so and so are done, therefore also so and so. That's the first clue to help you detect whether it is possibly a hypothetical syllogism. Okay. So if you study, then you will pass. And if you pass, then we will travel. Then it means that if you study, then we'll travel. That's hypothetical syllogism. Women like bananas, and those who like bananas are rich. Then it means that women are rich. That is it. If you were drawing it on the Venn diagram, I want to help you picture it. Then we'll say all mangoes, M, the set of mangoes. So the circle M are inside what? Fruit. All mangoes are fruit. Fruit may be triangles. So the circle of mangoes is inside the triangle of fruit. That's the first premise. The second premise now says, and the fruit, that's the triangle, are inside what? A bigger square. See, that's the second premise, and all fruits are edible. Then it will follow that the circle is inside the big square. Why? Because the circle is inside the triangle, and the triangle is itself inside the big square. If so, then the circle is already inside the square. That's the thinking for hypothetical syllogism. 3 steps. They are sets, not particulars. So all mangoes are fruit. Watch it. This fruit, which is the consequent here, becomes the antecedent of the second premise. All mangoes are fruit. All fruits are something else, edible. Then you can conclude that all mangoes are edible. Okay, you create a Z. Sometimes the second premise will come before the first. The point is, if it is antecedent up here, it must be the consequent in the second premise. So it forms a chain. The thing is both antecedent and consequent. If so, then you can cross it out and then conclude from the beginning to the end. Look at it. So all mangoes are fruits. Fruit is consequent here. Look at the second premise. All fruits are edible. Fruit is now antecedent. Earlier it was consequent. Here it is antecedent. It forms a bridge. Then we can cross it out and say therefore that all mangoes are edible. That's hypothetical syllogism. It will be wrong, look, to go and say this. So someone read the hypothetical syllogism on your screen now, the last one, so that I show you the correct one and then the one that is labeled false hypothetical syllogism. I want someone to help. Guys, go ahead. Thank you. Please, who is reading? God, read for me. Read the hypothetical syllogism, the valid one. Oh dear. If God is not able to...
Madam, please, where should I read?
Oh, on the screen, I'm projecting the hypothetical syllogism. Can you see my screen?
Hello.
Sir?
Hello. Yeah, I can see your screen, but ma, please, which one should I read? Is it the Modus tollens or
Hypothetical
syllogism?
hypothetical.
Madam, I can't see your screen.
Okay, so
Oh dear.
hypothetical syllogism. All mangoes are fruits. All fruits are edible. So all mangoes are edible.
That one is valid. Now read the false hypothetical syllogism, please. The false one, the invalid one.
Syllogism. All mangoes are fruits. All bananas are also fruits. So all mangoes are bananas.
Very good. Now the reason why it's a fallacy is not because, listen, don't tell me, oh, but doc, we know that mangoes are not bananas. That is not the reason. I'm not talking about mangoes being actually bananas or not. That would perhaps make it unsound. But the real reason is, even if we assumed to be true, look at the premises that the person is giving us. He says, all mangoes are fruits. Then the second premise says, all bananas are also fruit. If we granted it to be true, the two of them to be true, we are not required necessarily to conclude that, therefore, all mangoes are bananas. The premises don't ground it. I showed you the set notation for this other one. So watch. If I said all mangoes are fruits, all bananas are also fruits, if you plot it, it will not be valid. Why? The fact that two things converge at one place doesn't mean the two are the same. Girls get A. There are girls in, I want to give a very accessible example. Okay, politicians are corrupt and lecturers are also corrupt. Okay. Therefore, please, I've muted all again. Kindly keep it that way. It's a concept. I'm introducing a concept, so we need full concentration. When we get it and we are practicing, we can keep opening here and there, okay? Keep it very silent so that you get it. So I'm saying that if I said all politicians are corrupt, then the second premise, I said all lecturers are also corrupt. Therefore, I conclude that all politicians are lecturers. That's problematic. It doesn't follow, okay? We haven't created a common factor. So if I said the correct one would be all politicians are corrupt, see? Then the next premise, and all corrupt people are also lecturers. That way, we are obliged to accept then that all politicians are lecturers. You see, just like what we did right now. So the reason why it is not valid is that even if we accepted these two premises as true, it doesn't give us justification, absolute guarantee that this conclusion also follows. And that one often happens. People say, for example, all pastors go to that place, the club, and then all bouncers also go to that club. So you want to conclude that pastors and bouncers are the same? Not necessarily. They might go there for different purposes. That is why it is not the parallelism that grounds it. It is what? Where you have created a chain, there's a connection, there is a link, there is a Z. You created the symbol Z. Then there's a common factor, so it crosses out for you to be able to conclude from the beginning to the end. So give me a valid conclusion to the following hypothetical syllogism. I'm going to give you the premises. Again, you are going to do an Enthymeme. This time I'll give you two premises and ask you to give a valid conclusion by hypothetical syllogism. Please, are you ready? We'll do universal affirmative first, then we'll use some universal negations. The textbook gives you so many examples. Those who are learning with the textbook, there are so many there. Let's start. All mammals feed their young. Okay, and all who feed their young grow. What will be the valid conclusion by hypothetical syllogism? All mammals feed their young, and all who feed their young grow. What will be the valid conclusion? Give me a uniform answer now. Chorus
All
answer.
mammals.
All mammals
All mammals
feed
grow.
their
Very
young.
good.
grow. All mammals
Right. Some brother put in some plenty salt in our soup. Let me ask again so that I hear him. See, I said all mammals feed their young.
All mammals grow.
Very good. Thank you, sir. I'm sorted now. Another example, still with hypothetical syllogism, a very easy one first, then we build on the difficulty. So let's start. All planets orbit the sun. That means all planets go around the sun. The sun, the embo, say, okay, all planets. No, let's use something else. I want something that is also a universal. So all planets move. All planets move. And all that moves are human beings. Therefore, by hypothetical syllogism, what conclusion will we do?
All planets are
all
human beings.
planets are human beings.
Very good.
Therefore, all planets are human beings.
Very good. I hope everyone is following. The reason is, if the premises were true, then this is the conclusion that must, by force, follow it. Except that for the second example I gave, we all can tell that it is valid by hypothetical syllogism, but it is not sound. But it is not sound. I want to give another example. Hypothetical syllogism. Whenever it rains, the ground gets wet. Therefore, whenever it rains, we get plenty harvest. Whenever it rains, the ground gets wet. And I conclude, therefore, whenever it rains, we get plenty harvest. I want the hidden premise.
And I'll go over again.
Whenever it rains, this one, I'm giving you one premise, then a conclusion. You see, we are doing an Enthymeme now. So I give the premise and I'm concluding and asking you to give me the hidden premise. Maybe we'll ask someone to raise the hand this time, okay? So I said, whenever it rains, the ground gets wet. Therefore, I've skipped the second premise. I said, therefore, whenever it rains, we get plenty harvest. Put up your hand, please, so that people can follow. Whenever it rains, the ground gets wet. Therefore, whenever it rains, there's plenty harvest. Put up your hand. I'm waiting. I'm not calling anyone yet. I want to see how many people have worked it and they are ready with an answer before I call someone. So keep your hands up. Whenever it rains, the ground gets wet. Therefore, whenever it rains, there is what? Plenty harvest. Only 7 people. When you finish and you have an answer, please raise your hand. I'm checking. That's why I'm checking to see if people understand. If you don't, then I keep hitting at it. Better to know a little very well than to rush through and finish and you don't know the little cry. You don't know nothing. Someone will see. That's not good. Okay. I'm waiting for 5 other people. So keep working. Whenever it rains, the ground gets wet. I left the second premise. I'm saying, therefore, whenever it rains, there is plenty harvest. What is the hidden premise there? Okay, 10 people. I'm waiting for 4 more, 11, 3 more. I'm waiting. Keep raising the hands. Good. Good. Oh, pass our target. Very good. Now we can ask for a chorus answer. So What is the hidden premise?
When
I want
the
your
When the
co-answer.
ground gets wet, there is a lot of harvest.
The ground gets
Very
wet,
good.
there is harvest.
I can hear Joe
Yes.
laughing. I can hear Joe.
I
I
saw
can
listening
hear
to it.
Varemu. Very good.
When the
Okay, so when the ground gets wet, there is plenty harvest. That was what was hidden. So the person is arguing and saying, whenever it rains, the ground gets wet. And when the ground gets wet, there is plenty harvest. Therefore, whenever it rains, there will be plenty harvest. That's hypothetical syllogism. Nothing much. It's just the pattern we are looking at. So all A's are B's, and all B's are C's. Therefore, all A's are C's. This is not modus ponens. Modus ponens would have said all A's are B's. This thing, particular, not all. This thing is an A, therefore you conclude it's a B. Okay, if you got that also, then we will do the very last one, which is what? Disjunctive syllogism. See, I told you that we are seeing the names big, 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 big. Oh, Zerubbabel, no fears. This mountain shall become a plain in no time. When you see your fufu and soup, which I'm trying very hard to manage my appetites and finish with you, so I can go and. When you see the way the fufu is in the plate or the bowl and the meat on it, you will never think that you can destroy this. But I tell you, it's just a munch at a time. You bite, you drink. Mami with two minutes. Oh, Johnny paid the right. Johnny there. Is it gonna easy? Before you know it, you are disturbing my holiday, right? I've had a lecture already. This is the second one. I'll do a third one. Everybody is saying, "Oh, there's only day in knowledge." That's not to worry. I'm just encouraging someone who felt that, hey, this modus ponens, modus tollens, affirming this. Hey, I tell you, it is like the fufu in your bowl. It's just one bite at a time. Then you drink a little soup. You bite meat. One fish kakra. Wele woho. Kotoje. Then you continue. Before you know it. Yes, Ryan. Before you know it. Listen. Before you know it, what has happened? You have finished the whole thing and the bowl is empty. So look at, this is a very heavy content. I told the class, but here you are, even if we were to end here, you know hypo, you know modus, both the ponens and the tollens, you know syllogism, you know why it is a deductive fallacy, and when it is a deductive valid pattern, you know universals, whether negation or affirmative. You can affirm, you can identify the antecedent and consequent of a statement, you know the premises, and you can distinguish it from the conclusion of an argument. See what I'm doing? One at a time. That's how you learn. Particular statements versus general statements. These ones, you'll see them again in Unit 7. Those who are learning have already seen it. And those are the things we will ask you, nothing much. So where have we reached? So you don't feel overwhelmed. I want you to be relaxed. I'm adding the last one, which is what? Disjunctive syllogism. Now, it's an important thing that will help you distinguish that kind of argument, valid as it is, from the others learned so far, is that the main connective for disjunctive syllogism, is or on your screen. It's or. All this while, what we have been doing, what we had been doing, Gideon, keep your thing muted. I keep on muting you, but I don't know. Okay, just keep it muted so that we don't hear what is happening at home there. Okay. Now see, for modus, whether ponens or tollens and hypothetical syllogism, the main connective there, see how I become serious again. I'm going to introduce the last concept. All those three we studied so far use the main connective called conditional. Like when we are doing mathematics, we have the operational signs like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. When I say divide, or what is the difference between 5 and 3, or what is the product of 7 and 1. I'm saying different things. The word product means multiply them. What's the sum of 1 and 5? SUM, sum. It means add it. It's addition. Okay, what is the difference between 5 and 3? It means subtract it, and so on and so forth. So what I'm showing you is that these words are a clue. They are a signal. They show you which operational sign you are using mathematically. Now in logic 2, we have them. We have conditional, biconditional, negation, disjunction, conjunction. Okay, but you are not doing logic as in typical logic. You're just being given small introduction to check your how far. So we didn't put all of it there. You may see it in some of the slides somewhere. It is not substantive to what you are doing. But just know that the disjunctive syllogism makes use of, look at this word or here, or. I just showed you some difference, product, to show you that when you see or, that or word, either or is a disjunction. When you see if then, it's a conditional. So the 3 we've done so far, we're using what? Conditionals. Whether modus ponens, modus tollens, or hypothetical syllogism, they were all conditional. The disjunctive syllogism uses either or. That's all. That's all I want to tell you. It's a good sign. So if I ask you which of the following is a valid disjunctive syllogism, as soon as the possible answers say all men have done so and so, it can be an option, because disjunctive syllogism doesn't use conditional. They use disjunctions. So you are able to take out the options that won't apply, for example. Then you can now focus on the few left. And then even if you have to do betting, cha-cha, if you have to do cha-cha, it's a wise cha-cha because you are choosing between 2 possible alternatives. Okay, so disjunctive syllogism works with what? Or. Now, what is the pattern, the correct one, which makes it valid? It's simple. A or B. That's the first premise I gave you. Then I tell you, in addition, that, but it is not A. What then am I telling you? I want a chorus answer. I'm the one giving information.
Then
That
it
says
is
A or B.
B.
A
Then
or
it is
B.
B.
We are looking for the money. There are 2 drawers in the bedroom. I put the money there. Then I tell you the money is in either the A drawer or the B drawer. That's my first premise, information, reason, evidence. Then I add to it. I am the one speaking, the evidence, the premise. I said A or B. Then I tell you, but it is not B. Then am I not telling you that open A? Obviously.
Yes.
You see that? Yes. So disjunctive syllogism works that way. A or B. That is, I save at Barclays on your screen now, or I save at Stanchart. Then I tell you in the premises, not Barclays. That is a negation of Barclays. Then it means that I save at Stanchart. Or I could have said not Stanchart. Then the conclusion will be Barclays. That is the valid disjunctive syllogism. You shouldn't say, your textbook doesn't touch on it too much, but you shouldn't say A or B. A, therefore you are concluding not B. That is not valid. It's called a false disjunctive syllogism, but we are not dwelling much on it. Just don't commit that fallacy where you say A or B, A, so it cannot be B. It could be both, because A has disjunction has an inclusive sense. It can be both. So I could have an account with both Barclays and Stanchart. I told your friends, if you plot it on the Venn diagram, the disjunctive syllogism is captured by, or you capture disjunctive syllogism when you do a joint set, a circle and then a square, but they are joined together. They have an intersection, okay? Not a subset, no. There is a master, there's another master, but they have a blend. There's a part that they join. Because of that meaning, every disjunction has the inclusive sense. So I could say that I have an account at Barclays or Stanchart. It is possible that I could have an account with both. When you say either or, there is the exclusive sense of either or, which is what we are always, conscious of. But there is also the inclusive sense where it could be both. If you come and visit me, I'll give you either banku and okra stew or omutuo and groundnut soup. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that if I give you one, I couldn't have given you both. I could. It won't negate my either or statement that I made. All this explanation is to help you understand. If there's understanding, then the mechanics come alive. The mechanism, the rule become clear to you. So that you are not just obeying rules, but you have an understanding behind it. So disjunctive syllogism, the correct pattern is what? A or B. Then not A, which is a negation of one of them. Then you can conclude what? B. Or not B, then you can conclude A. It would be wrong to say A or B. A, so it can't be B. In other words, A, therefore not B. Where you take the conclusion and the negation into the conclusion, that will not be valid. On that note, I'm so done. So give me a valid conclusion to this premise. Now you have the 4 valid patterns. You see that we didn't give you an invalid pattern for the disjunctive syllogism. I told you offhand, it's called false disjunctive syllogism. Some of my colleagues have given the technical name that we do in philosophy proper, but the textbook doesn't do that. So I don't want to stress you with things that are not in the textbook. When we do that, we are not being fed. You are not philosophy students who are doing this in level 200, even 300 deductive logic. They'll see it in modern analytic. You see, we can't do that. So sometimes it helps to teach and tell you those, but the examinable content, we have to be as fair as we can, referencing the textbook, which is the guide that all groups have. So I'm just telling you so you know it. Some other groups maybe go further and talk about so many things. Guide the content against what is in the textbook. If it is not there, in other words, if we haven't captured it there, we won't ask you, so that some groups don't have an advantage over others. But I can teach you that. My colleague somewhere can teach you that. The recordings on that can mention stuff like that. If you learn it, you are enriched, but they are not examinable. So I'm saying that the ones that are there that we should examine you on are the ones we've discussed, and I've touched on 1 or 2 others. Hypothetical syllogism is valid. False hypothetical syllogism is where you say the 2 premises converge at the same consequence. Therefore, you say those antecedents are alike. It is not valid. We have seen that. Then we just saw disjunctive syllogism, where you try to affirm one of the options in the premise and therefore want to conclude a negation of the other. No, sir. So either true or false. Not true, then you can say it is false. Either true or false. Not false, then you can say therefore it is true. But you can't say true or false. True, therefore not false. It could be indifferent, both. The teller working at the bank there is either male or female. I want you to answer, so listen. The teller at the booth there is either male or female. Next premise, she is male. Therefore, you want to conclude that, okay, the teller is male. Therefore, you want to say that the teller couldn't be a female. Valid or not valid, and why? Put up your hand. The
Please
teller
come
is
again.
either male or female. I'm repeating, male or female. Okay. Male or female. Female, that's the next premise. Therefore, I conclude not male. My question is valid or not, and why? Keep the hands coming. Valid or not, and why? Male or female? Female. Therefore, I conclude not male. Valid or not? Keep them going. The last question, we go to 28 hands up before I ask for chorus answer. Keep going. I'm still watching. Very good. Keep going. If you have an answer, then you raise your hand. So I know that, okay, quite a number of us would have answered. Then I ask for chorus answer. either male or female. Next premise, female. Therefore, I conclude not male. Okay, now I want a chorus answer. Is it valid or not?
Not
Not
valid.
valid.
Not
Not
valid.
valid.
Not valid.
Not valid.
Not. Very good.
Not
Not.
valid.
So it is not valid.
Why?
Now why? Hold on. Somebody say why. Why?
Agenda.
Very good. The person could even be a hermaphrodite. It could be both. Yes. The logic of it says, if you negate one, then we can conclusively, validly, deductively affirm what? The other. So if it is on the Venn diagram, those of you like the math, see, if it's circle and square, I said either square or circle, we said always there is what? The intersection, the Laodicean church, the lukewarm church of Revelation. Those who are neither hot nor cold. See, if I say either hot or cold, there is always the logical possibility of what? The blend. They are in the middle. They have a little hot in them, a little cold in them. If it's circle or square, one side of them is circle, the other side is square. They are called the intersection. The reason why God says, I will spew them out of my mouth, is because they are not hot. So you can use it to do Lipton, hot water. And they are not cold. So you can freeze your ice cream inside, or you can drink it when you are feeling hot. The person is not hot, is not cold. When you call church people, she's there. Big tongues. Right after church, you see her friend's song. When you call the club folks, she's the lead. If you do that, we can't place you anywhere. I'm saying because of those people, listen, I'm teaching you disjunctive syllogism. Because of that intersection, when you say A or B, circle or square, then the next premise says it is circle. Therefore, it can be square. We'll have a problem. When you pull the circle along, inside it are some intersections, some people who are part of square and part of circle. They are there. That's what happened. So Israel people are leaving a certain place to another land, according to the Bible. They pulled along some members who are not part of them. And the people continually counted Moses till Moses got stranded. They confused the legal members. That's why you can't say circle or square. It is circle, therefore it can be square. There can be squares inside because of the possibility of intersection. I am done. So the one I asked you, if you say male or female, then the next premise says the person is male. Therefore, you are concluding that necessarily not female. There are people who are both. I'm not talking about even transgender. That one, they chose to change from one to the other. They have changed. I'm talking about those who have both. What makes someone male? They have that, and they also have that which makes someone female. They have both. So what are you using to define? Is it long hair? They have long hair, but they also have something down there and stuff like that. Therefore, the valid deduction that will follow from an either or premise is for you to negate one in the premises. You yourself, the one giving us the raw material, should say that it is A or B. But I want to tell you that it is not A. Then we take everything that is A out, because we say not A. We take everything that is A out. Then we can clearly have what? Purely B. That is the logic. And you should apply it when you are reasoning out there. Well done. So let's see, have we covered everything? Then I will top up with 5 minutes or so of Unit 7. Unless there's a question. Any questions? Thank you, Amos. Thank you, Clifford. Thank you, Jacob and Gideon. Your hands shut up. If anyone has a question, please ask now. Then I'll mop up from slide to slide. Is there a question, please? Okay. Excellent. So I'm mopping up per slide. Oh no, John's hand is up. John, is there a question? Please ask.
Yes, please.
John, wow. Please go ahead.
No,
Ask.
Madam, please, I want to tell you that. So, in the disjunctive syllogism,
yes.
You have to first negate the premises before you conclude.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, that's
so
that.
if you didn't, then you cannot conclude it unless you negate
If you
it before you
affirm
get.
one and you conclude the other, it doesn't follow deductively, validly. I just didn't want to say, I could have just, thank you too. I could have just said, as for the disjunctive law, it's A or B, not A, therefore B, finish, learn it and go, whether you agree or not, whether you understand or not, that's the rule, go, bye-bye. You know, I could have done that, I would have finished in 15 minutes or so for all the discussion. But sometimes when the person understands the logic, there's a reasoning behind the patterns. Then now when you give them the raw rules, they see it or they're able to test it. So that's what we've done so far. All right. So quickly, I'm projecting from slide 1 to the end. See how patiently and what's the word? Repeat. When you are repeating repetitively. I'm doing the same thing over and over here. What's it? It's repetitive. As if, oh, next one. No, you haven't. I know what I've asked you. Okay, so you haven't at all. Some of the questions are since that. So you just have to patiently take it one at a time. So here it is. We went through the outline. There's another outline. Everything here, by the grace of God, you know, and you can do very well. Please put up your hand if you have a question. I'm mopping up, okay, so that people can organize the thing like the way you save documents on a file and to enter their memories uninterrupted. Please, I beg. So if you have a question, keep your hand up. See, now deduction and induction, Bright helped us to remember. See the necessity, the logical necessity between the premises of a deductive argument and its conclusion. Whereas the other one is just a matter of probability. Then we recalled argument, watch. Then we looked at the types of arguments, those that are inductive with an example. Then we went to further examples. Now you know which deductive patterns they were. We emphasized that point. We showed that if you try to make the conclusion true, conclusion false, whilst the premises are true in a deductive argument, valid one, you create a contradiction. You saw that earlier. We showed you that. So deductive arguments are topic neutral. That's why you can say all birds fly. My lecturer is a bird, therefore she flies. It will be valid because validity is not looking at truth. Okay, then we saw the patterns themselves. Look at it. And then we saw particular versus general statements. We look at the reference class. We'll get back to that substantively in Unit 7. That's where we need it more. Then we just wanted you to know universal statements and how you can open them out to read as a conditional. So all these were just preparatory for Unit 7. Then here we are. You know that universals are either affirmative or negative examples to help you. If you saw no cat is a dog, you know that that is a conditional statement. It has an antecedent and a consequent. And then we came here. There, what I said is what is given over there with a lot of examples to help you see. Opening out. So someone shouldn't say, Doc, how will I know the antecedent so that I'll affirm it? Come and revise this slide if you have forgotten that it is here. Then universal negation. That is universal negation. Then from there we went to syllogism again. Madam helped us remember what a syllogism is. Then we went to how to interpret a negation. See how we have eaten all the fufu in our bowls here. Then we
Hello, please, I can't hear anything.
Don't worry, don't worry. I'm shouting, pa, and it's being recorded. Okay, I'll keep shouting even louder so you can hear. We looked at modus ponens and tollens, and then we looked at hypothetical syllogism and disjunctive syllogism a moment ago. Then these are samples showing you how the fallacy is being committed. Instead of affirming antecedent, affirming consequent. This is another one. Instead of denying the consequent, it is rather denying the antecedent. See, this is a false hypothetical syllogism saying all x's are y's, all z's are y's. They all converge at the same consequence. So the person wants to conclude, therefore, that all x's are z. We say, no, 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 no. Then we give you a slide that will help you compare the two forms in all instances. We gave you a note on distinguishing validity from soundness, that it could be valid and not sound. But if it is sound, then we know that it was already valid. That is it. If sound argument must first of all be valid and then its premises must be true. And That is the end of Unit 6. Any question? Gideon, your hand is up. Gideon Ampo. Please ask your question.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Finally, I heard you. Go ahead.
I was struggling. It was the network.
Don't worry, it's recorded. I was also struggling. I suspect that the folks are having a holiday.
Okay. Madam, please, in the hypothetical,
yes,
in the format, it is
yes,
all X are Y, all Y are Z. But in the conclusion, if you interchange it by saying that all Z are,
it will not be valid because antecedent is not the same as consequent. You see that? When I say so, this is it. This is it on your screen now. Like you want to say, if I said all mangoes are fruit, all fruits are edible. Therefore, all edible things are mangoes. That's what.
I can't hear anything. I'm not the
Don't
only
worry, don't
one.
worry, my lady. Don't worry. It's a problem at your end. I think others can. Don't worry. We are recording. Why? Or use an earphone or something. Because I think others can hear me, right?
Maybe, Madam Pete, maybe she will have to exit and come back.
Yes, because others can clearly, or use an earphone or reception. Sometimes it happens. That's why I'm not stressed too much. Why?
We can hear you, madam.
Gideon, I was saying that you were asking if we say all mangoes are fruits and all fruits are edible. They want to conclude, therefore, all edible things are mangoes. Instead of saying all mangoes are edible. Is that your question?
yes, please.
And I'm saying that no, because when I say all mangoes are edible, it's not the same as saying all edible things are mangoes. I've already worked you through that. When we did modus ponens, I interpreted the universal statement for you. If I say all mangoes are edible, I'm saying that everything that is a mango is inside the set of edible things. All politicians are corrupt. It means everything that is a politician is inside the set of corrupt things. That doesn't mean that there isn't space inside the set of corrupt things for lectures. Lectures too can be corrupt. Okay, so all politicians are corrupt. Doesn't mean all corrupt people are politicians. That's the reason why you can't change the position of the conclusion of this one. Very good.
I don't know none of the.
Hey, I didn't hear the rest, but if you are sorted, then that is good. Mawenam, please ask your question.
Please, I'm sorry.
Okay, Justina Ifa, please ask your question. Your hand is up.
Okay, madam, good morning.
Good morning, madam. Gideon, I'll come back to you and let me take
Please,
Justina.
I didn't understand the disjunctive.
Disjunctive says, madam has given you an exam. The possible answers are true or false. Then in the question, she tells you the answer is not true. What is the answer? What is the answer she's telling you then?
If it's not true, then it's false.
I want the sister Kra to answer for me. The person giving you the information says it is either true or false, but it is not true. What is she telling you then? Jesse, I see you are talking, but I can't hear you. Okay, Justina.
Madam, please, I did not understand the
disjunctive syllogism. Go ahead.
Yes, I didn't get that part.
Then I'm saying that I'm trying to help you get it in a very simplified form. So I'm saying that I asked you an exam question. You see, Justina. Then the possible answers are true or false. Is the disjunction true or false? You see. Then in the very question I'm asking you, I say, but the answer is not true. What do you think I'm telling you, Justina? Justina. Justina, can you hear me? I suspect the same network issue for you too, but I'm patiently waiting. Okay, I'm telling you it's true or false. Then in addition to the question true or false, I tell you that the answer is not true. What do you think the answer will be then, Justina? Please unmute now. You are muted now.
If it's not true, then it will be false.
You see that? Because there are two alternatives. That is disjunctive syllogism. A or B. Not A. Then you will have to say therefore B. A or B. Not B. Then you will have to say therefore A. Okay. I only added something else to prompt the class. I said that you shouldn't be tempted to say that A or B. A, therefore not B. Therefore, it's a conclusion you are drawing. So you say A or B. A, therefore not B. Not necessarily. It will pass for some, it won't pass for others. That's why it's not a valid deduction. Why? Then I tried to put a lot of flesh to it and said, I could say I save at Barclays or I save at Stanchart. Then I add further information. I save at Barclays. Would you then conclude, therefore, that because I said Barclays or Stanchart, and you've gone to Barclays and you see that I have some money there, I saved there, therefore, it means I cannot save at the other one? If you are an investigator and you do that, then the people will trick you, Papa. I could only disclose one. I said A or B. You have to go to the other one because I could have an account in both, which is not negated if I speak that way, okay? That's one of the logic. I could say that she's either male or female. Then I say, no, if I say she, then I already preempt myself. So the teller is either male or female. Then the next premise, I say the teller is male. Dema. You see, therefore I conclude that he is not female. Not necessarily. She could be both or he could be both. Why? Because of the meaning of disjunction. So I'm even more concerned about the logic of it than even the practical exam. I'm just using these ones to help you see. I am either in class or at home. You see? Then I say I'm in class now. Therefore, I cannot be at home. I could be at two places. Ask those who say I be before. Ask them. Or you yourself or myself. I can be sitting physically at lecture hall. My mind is checking my rice cooker and the rice inside at home. Or my things that I didn't remove from the line. You see that? And it's going to rain. You are seated here. Sometimes you ask, hey, are you here? You say, I say, oh. So that is why we are saying when we say disjunction, the correct one is what I told you earlier. Any other way is not valid. Period. A or B, not A, then you can conclude B. A or B, not B, then you can conclude A. Don't say A or B. A has happened, so B couldn't come with it. Disjunction has an inclusive sense. It is philosophy, logic, and kasa. But we don't want to worry you with it. Thank you very much, madam. I'll take
But, madam.
Doris, please, if you have a question, keep your hand up. I don't want us to have a miss class. Okay, it doesn't matter if we don't start our Unit 7 today. We can always do it the next time. But let me take Doris. Doris's hand is up. Clifford, I'll take you later. Okay, Doris, go ahead. Unmute and ask, please. If Doris is not ready, I could take Mary Kwanzaa, whose hand is also up. Okay, then I may have to take Clifford. Clifford, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, madam, it's okay. It's okay.
It's sorted.
Yeah.
Are you sure it is sorted? If it's not sorted,
yes,
ask. Okay, then that's fine. Let me take the ladies. Your hands are still up. Gideon Ampo, your hand is up again. Maybe that will be the last question, unless Mary and Doris have questions to ask. I see Umu's hand as well. Umu, ask your question. Umu Salama.
Hello, madam.
Okay, Gideon. Gideon is asking. I'm sorry. So let's take Gideon. We'll come back to Umu. I think networks are slow, so people take a while in responding. Go ahead, Gideon. Then I will take Umu.
Hello. Yeah. And the first one, the invalid one.
Gideon, speak up loudly so that I can hear you, please.
Hello. Hello,
yes,
madam.
Sir. Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, please, I can.
Okay. Under the first hypothetical syllogism.
Yes.
In the pattern, it was all X are Z.
Yes.
All Y's are Z.
Yes.
So all X are Y.
Yes.
So in example in the textbook, example in the textbook was saying
Yes.
that all his friends are from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
All the Muslims in this room are from Nigeria.
Uh-huh.
So all the Muslims in this room,
Did he say all are
they
no? Did he
exchanged
were
the
they I'm coming. Were they universal negations that you have interpreted the way you have?
no. That's what I've read.
Don't worry.
The
It
question,
might not be that exactly. So send it to me directly and then we'll engage it. Okay. Because what you are telling me will mean that the conclusion rather brought the consequent before the antecedent. We'll have to verify.
yes,
If it
yes,
is so,
that's
then
what
it's
is
an
what.
error. But that is what you are saying. I'm not seeing that yet. Okay. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. So if it is that, then it has to change. If it's not that, then we correct it. Sometimes universal negation, and that one we know the antecedent and consequent have different positions. So if that is what you saw, the correct one is what I've told you: false hypothetical syllogism. Okay, it gives you it makes the antecedents, those two antecedents, what a consequence of each other, because they all meet at one place. So all A's are B's, then it leaves the B there and comes to say all C's are also B's. Therefore, you conclude that all A's are C's. That's false. That's a false hypothetical syllogism. Okay.
Yes.
Umu, please ask your question. The next class will beat me up, but I'm patient.
Madam, please. And the example you gave with the disjunctive syllogism, when you said you either see that backwards or stand chart, does it make
Yes.
it valid or invalid?
You have to give me the full pattern. Then I'll be able to check what validity or invalidity you have. Because validity is a label for arguments, not statements. So give me a whole argument. If I say I save at Barclays or Stanchart. Go ahead.
Yes.
Then the next premise says I save at Barclays, therefore you want to conclude, therefore I do not save as
Stanchart. No.
Your line is
You do
quite
not
faint,
save at
so I seem to be talking into what you are saying, but it's because I can't hear you. Are you asking I save at Barclays or Stanchart?
I want to ask
Next one.
if it's valid or not.
Which one? It has to be an argument. Yeah.
Okay.
My sister, so give me the argument which you are asking whether it is valid or not. That's what I'm saying now. Okay. Give me the whole argument.
You either save at Barclays or Stanchart. You do not save at Barclays, therefore you save at Stanchart.
But that is valid. That's what we have done. A negation of one of them in the premises, so that you can now conclude the other one.
Okay.
That's valid.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Then let's take Bright Yeboah, our class rep. I think we have to give him. Doris, your hand has been up. Oh, don't say I ignored you. I've called you, sir. You're not responding. So I'll take my rep and then we can end. Yes, please.
Madam.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to about the hypothetical syllogism. I want to bring out something whether it's valid or not.
Okay, please go ahead.
All X are Y.
Yes.
And all Y are Z. So will it be valid if you conclude by saying all X are Z?
Oh, that's the pattern we have been doing all this while. All X are Z.
Are Y.
Okay, all X are Y. And then the second pair said all
Y
are Z. Yes, all mangoes are fruit and all fruit are bananas. That's all fruit are whatever, edible. That's what we have been doing. Therefore, should I start? All X are Y.
Yes.
All Y's are Z.
Please.
Then it means all X are Z. So all mangoes are fruits. All fruits are edible. Therefore, all mangoes are edible. That's the pattern we've been doing all this while. It's correct and valid.
Okay.
Yeah, John, go ahead, Brad John.
Madam, please, in the disjunctive syllogism, so it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem if you say, or invalid, if you say you either save as Barclays or Stanchart, and you say you save at Barclays, so you do not save as Stanchart.
It will be invalid. It is not valid. Yeah. Because disjunction has an inclusive sense. Take it from me. It's not always exclusive. It could be both. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, John. Felix, Obi, I just saw your hand. It's time, but I want to give you the opportunity. Go ahead. Felix, your hand is up. Quickly, please. So I end the recording.
We were saying politicians are corrupt and all corrupt people. Therefore, can you say all lecturers are politicians?
Start again, please. I missed some of the part. All politicians are corrupt and all corrupt people are lecturers. Yes, then all politicians will be lecturers. It will be valid, but not sound. This hypothetical syllogism is a pattern, that's all. So if it's obeyed, like all women are elephants and all elephants are birds, it has to follow that all women are birds. Deductively, it follows by what? Hypothetical syllogism pattern. But it's not valid. I guess when we observe, we don't see that. But the reasoning pattern, if we granted the premises to be true, it will require that we accept this conclusion also as true. That's the thing with validity from day one. Okay, very good. Answer, Mary.
Madam, please, if we say all politicians are corrupt, all lecturers are also corrupt, can we conclude by saying all
Answer your
politicians
own
are
question,
lecturers?
Auntie. Auntie, answer your question. Because we have gone through it. All politicians are corrupt. Then you leave corruption there. All politicians are corrupt. Then you leave it there. You leave corruption there. Then you come and say all lecturers are also corrupt. That is not exact. You just created a parallel, two parallel lines. It will not be valid. This is a false hypothetical syllogism you want to do. Do you remember now?
Thank you.
Yes. So you are welcome. I think that is a good time to end. Please, I've seen Felix's hand. I think we dealt with it, and I just dealt with Mary's hand as well. So I will hopefully work on this right after the next classes session, and then upload it onto the academic channel and generate the link. Just note that because we are using the same link for both group 50 and 51, if you go to this our chat, I mean the link that brought you to this meeting, if you go there, you go to the chat. You may try it now and see. If you go to the chat is that circle that has like someone is speaking, where it shows conversation. You have all the recordings that we have done this semester there. The one that I pulled and then upload onto YouTube. They are all there. Every session I've had on that link is there. When the semester ends, then I will change the link or something, but they are there. So if you go in, you can access the discussions that have gone there. Those who are not able to, but I don't know how else. I share the links. It is on the academic channel. It's also on but you can still even get it in this very meeting. I've not blocked access. So you are always able to enter anytime and go to the chat. And when you go through it, you see that all the recordings are there for whether 50 or 51 so far since we started meeting. You can play them back if you want to. Thank you very much. All other questions. Gideon, please bring any other question you have outside of this class. You people didn't give me a holiday, fully 2 hours and even more. I have to meet the next class and they are waiting. Have a wonderful week. All the best and take care.
Thank you.
Madam.
Thank you, madam.